I do like to set unrealistic goals. Like my goal for this year was issue 1 million, but I'm not nowhere close to that. But then I get stuck in, well, what's the point if I'm off track?
I got sued because of how flashy I was. It was this crazy TCPA lawsuit stuff. They had pictures of me spread all over this big, massive conference room table overlooking downtown Kansas City. And they said, we are going after this dude.
All right, today's guest is a powerhouse in the insurance industry, an entrepreneur, speaker, and content creator who's built one of the most recognized personal brands in the insurance space. I'd probably say the most recognized personal brands in the insurance space. He's the founder of 8% Nation, the largest insurance sales conference in the world, and the driving force behind a fast-growing media and training empire and Kaboom leads. From starting in the industry at just 20 years old to building a multi-million-dollar business, he's helped thousands, I'd say hundreds and hundreds of thousands of agents level up mindset, marketing, and their sales game. He's relentless, passionate, and unapologetically focused on helping others succeed. Please welcome our guest, the one and only Cody Askins. So let's just hop right into it, man.
Let's do it, bro.
Okay, so obviously, you got started working with Mutual of Omaha, 35% commission, knocking on doors, no leads. What do you say to somebody like for us, for example? We don't do that, right? Our whole thing is leads.
You mean you don't do the knocking on doors or you don't do the 35% commission?
Both,
Gotcha. Okay.
both. So for you, do you think you were successful because you just didn't know any better? Or do you think it was partially like the drive that you were just like, you know what, I'm just gonna make it happen, regardless of my circumstance, my upline, my leads, my whatever.
Yeah. I think I do this in all areas of my life. Like the more excuses that I can like literally take away from people or take away from myself, the more successful I'm going to be. So like a lot of people they're always looking for like why they're, not doing well. Or if you honestly, sometimes a lot of times if you tell people too much, then they now have excuses. And so for me, dude, the target was set before I knew anything. I didn't know anything about products. I didn't know anything about, I didn't know if 35% commission, 50% commission. I didn't know if that was
Right.
good. I'm bad. I don't have a freaking clue. And guess what? If you sell a ton of insurance, it's still good. It's still a lot
Right.
better than being homeless, right? And so, are there better opportunities? Sure, clearly. But like I didn't know anything. I didn't have any sales skill. I didn't have any leads. I had nobody to talk to. You know, um, I didn't know what to do. Like I literally had no clue. But the target was set that, I'm going to hit six figures. Like I am going to hit six figures. No, I don't know how, but man, I'm gonna do whatever it takes to get there. Right. And so I think a lot of times we try to figure it all out before we make a plan. We try to know everything before we take action. Where, dude, in everything that I do, like right now, we're planning for our 8% conference. It's in literally 17 days. And I'm taking 40 minutes out to hang out with my buddy Roy, right? But dude, I have been slammed all day, every day, 10, 11, 12 hours a day, constant
Wow.
meetings, constantly working. Well, I share that because in my business, the fact like my meetings are like I did a breakout meeting for like 50 people. Dude, it was 13 minutes. Like my meetings are shorter than most people because I've got to maximize my time.
Right.
And that's kind of how I have lived my life and ran my business. Even since the very beginning, I move at a much faster pace today, I'm sure, than I did, 15 years ago. But at the end of the day, people need to, if you have a target, you need to run and move really quick and stop adding time.
Right. Right. Yeah, I mean, I can just tell by the way you talk, you're an efficient dude, man. I saw
Uh,
some posts the other day. It was like, seems like the most successful people, the busiest people are the ones that get back to you the quickest.
yeah, it's crazy how that works. So that's interesting because if you guys if you're listening out there and you're like, hey, if you got say you've got a team, like I've got a team in my office,
Yep.
uh, they're all fairly busy. Some of them are crazy busy. If I have a task that's really important, do you take it to the person who has the most amount of time to accomplish this task, or do you take it to the person who is the busiest but is the most efficient and has no time to do it?
You would think it'd be the first one.
Yeah, dude, I take it to the busiest person every single time, right? Because
Hmm.
they're operating at high efficiency. That's why a lot of our team brings stuff to me because they know, right before this, the reason I got on a few minutes
Yeah.
late, right
Yeah.
before,
No, you're early. You're early.
well,
Birds.
Cool.
But
Thank you.
yeah,
But like I text you, I was like, hey, I'll get on a little early. I thought I'd be on a few minutes earlier than I was. But Tara, our director of events, she came and said, hey, there's one speaker who's on main stage and doing a breakout and has a booth, and we can't get a hold of them at all. Like, are they alive? She's like, can I email them from your email? And I'm like, dude, you can do whatever you want. I said, but I'm gonna get on my phone and send them a voice memo right now. And they have not been responding to them for weeks. Well, I sent the person a voice memo and they literally responded 2 minutes later. 11:19 a.m. I sent them a voice memo. 11:21 they responded. Well, instead of trying to like have a meeting or make a plan or like, okay, let's think about this. No, dude, like
just do
I
it.
I just need to move and get it out of my plate. Maybe my brain is a little weird too. My personality is definitely a little weird. My brain is probably a little crazy, but I feel like when I have things to do, and maybe your audience will be able to relate as an
Yeah.
entrepreneur. I feel like I've got something to do. It's an open tab in my brain.
Mm,
And if I don't close it, then I've got all these open tabs everywhere.
mm.
And then I actually end up being paralyzed and to move and take action because I got all these things that I'm thinking about and moving around, right? So for
Right.
me, when I get in meetings or I have tasks or things to do, dude, I get them done more efficiently and faster than most people that I know.
I believe it. That actually leads right into my next question. So you've got obviously you know how to sell insurance, you know how to recruit insurance agents, you know how to train.
Also, dude, I don't know that I can't sell it as good as you can. Not anymore.
I wasn't knocking on doors and I've got leads. But anyway, we'll leave that for the multiverse, you know.
Crazy.
But you've got 8% Nation, the largest insurance conference in the US, right? You've got Kaboom Leads, and I don't know the largest, whatever, but they're great. Our guys have used them.
We're
And
not the biggest yet, but we are on our freaking way,
I
baby.
believe it. Which one was harder, or which one is harder, 8% or Kaboom Leads? Like, which one takes more of your attention or your time?
It's the one it's harder to get off the ground is 8%. The one that is still takes a lot of my attention is Kaboom, but but when you're delivering a quality product, it should take less and less and less of your time over time. Where a lot of people, they're generating a product or they're doing something or they're selling something, and it's okay. But like all of our stuff is SMS verified. There's no disconnected numbers, no
Right.
wrong numbers ever. Like we just rolled out veteran life in the last couple of weeks, and like
Yeah.
there's no disconnected, no wrong numbers, like 100% accurate, which is really cool. A lot of veteran life leads are not like that, and so like, but when we do that, I'm involved in the creativity and the um, the creative and the rollout to make sure it's everything's right margin wise. We can deliver, we can fulfill, time sensitivity, all that. But 8% was tougher. One, because I already had an audience when I rolled out Kaboom, 16, 17 months ago, even though I've been doing leads since 2017. Starting
Gotcha.
back to the company you're with, by the way, that I did, I was doing like 20, 30,000 leads a month at one point,
Right. I remember you telling me that. Yeah.
for like 3 years.
Right.
And which I'm very grateful for, by the way. It was an amazing relationship. It was big and the timing was amazing. But 8% is a lot tougher because here's why. Try to get like we're gonna hit 1,500 tickets. We're at 1,222, if I'm not mistaken. Like I check like every hour
Oh yeah.
because there's a whole talk there too, but like our target is 1,500. Well, to sell 1,500 tickets of people that are not with your company, that are all over the country, that may or may not be following you online, and getting all of these different companies in one room to help each other and to collaborate instead of compete. Dude, it's freaking brutal. Like it's the hardest thing I've ever done, but because it's difficult, my personality loves it. Also, I like to be challenged. I love to speak. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with doing events. I'll do events for the rest of my life. I don't care what business I run, what industry I'm involved in, what I do. I will do events, and eventually I will do events all over the world. Like
When you,
I love it.
sorry. Yeah. I mean, I believe it, dude. Like when you think about an event, what gets you more fired up? Is it, all these people that you gathered there that wouldn't have been there that are now all connecting? Like, when we were going over at John Wetmore's workshop that you were at and you spoke at, we were going over the different personality types, right?
Mhm.
For me, I mean, I saw you as like a complete connector. the relationship guy that just puts people together. I don't know if that's true. I feel like you're also the one on the bottom, which I forget which one that is, but
Pioneer, pioneer.
Pioneer, I believe that. So getting all those people in the room, connecting, is it like being able to inspire them to do great things? Like when you set out for it, doing conferences is incredibly difficult. You know, Southwestern had a company that did conferences and then they got into coaching and consulting
Yep.
because of how hard it was, because they would go to different parts of the country and
Mm.
it's like almost impossible. So when you're like setting out for that, most people are like, I want to become a speaker, but they don't have to get all the people together. They just get hired, right? For you, you're like, I'm going to put on all these events. Like what was the purpose of that? Or like what drove you to do that?
Yeah, so it's interesting too because you mentioned I'll answer it a couple ways. You mentioned I would see most people would see me as a connector, by the way. Like
Yeah,
relation
from the
relation
outside.
yeah, like I'm connecting the industry. I'm connecting, our audience to what we're doing. I'm connecting a lot of people that are working with us. I'm connecting power players to, our audience, et cetera. Um, but it's funny. I took there's a test, there's an assessment called Clifton Strengths,
Yep.
Clifton Strengths, and it analyzes 34 different strengths from 1 to 34. Well, my first one was competition. My second was futuristic. So competition, then futuristic. My third was command, which means you're willing to, like, if a boat is on fire, you will, like, take charge. Like, you will get people to the finish line, right? Whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like, you will take command. You're okay taking command, and that's definitely true. Four is strategic, and then fifth for me, which answers your question, was relator.
That was five.
That was five, relator, which is very similar to connector.
Hmm.
And even though my personality, wakes up pissed off, like I've never accomplished anything in my life, I've had to get better at this, but, like, man, I've gotten really good at, when I'm with people, I'm present. When I, like, on my laptop right now, I closed all of my tabs on my laptop because I don't want to see anything. My email was up, my calendar was up. I don't want to see any of that, right? Like,
Hmm.
I'm here with you. When I'm in person with people, dude, I want to be in a good mood. I want to have a good attitude. I want to be happy. I want to be smiling. I want to be connecting with them. We got a chance to chat for a good 10, 15 minutes during lunch at
Yeah.
Wetmore's. Like, I love that. We've never got a chance to do that. And hey, it led to this, right? And
Yeah.
who knows where it'll lead, right? And so, and two, I see this at a lot of events. This kind of answers multiple questions. A lot of people at events, it's like the leader or the host or the celebrity or whatever is, like, backstage, like Wizard of Oz style. You never see them. They're
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
they're never out there until they're called,
Right.
and then they run away real quick with their security and their private Escalade and all their
Yeah.
private jet. I every time we do a road show, I go and say hi to 100% of people in the room before the conference even starts. Whenever we do the 8% conference, it'll
Mm.
start at 9 a.m. on the 7th. I'm sorry, 9 a.m. on the Tuesday, the 8th. I will go and say hi to as many people as I possibly can, and I will spend 30 to 60 minutes mingling when I should
Right.
be really, like, you would think, well, you need to prep, you're going to be walking out, you're going to be introducing the event, you're emceeing the 3 days. Like, why the heck would you spend 30 plus minutes mingling and spending time with people right before the video goes off? Well, and the lights go down. Well, because I have learned that I'm actually better at connecting with an audience when I do that,
Hmm.
and I end up being more relatable and authentic and humble versus just, being the celebrity that's running around on stage.
Right. Do you feel like you got that maybe a little bit from remember you telling me your grandfather was a pastor, right?
I think so. I also think that, now, don't get me wrong, Cody has had moments where there was too much ego and pride, and I thought I was, cooler than I am, right? Which we kind of all go through when we're building something.
Yeah,
Uh,
100%.
but it's not the way I want to be. It's not the way that, like, I want every agent that ever finds us in the world, and we get about 450,000 to 500,000 insurance agents around the world that watch a piece of our content, right?
Wow.
Maybe a little more at some months, but that's the average. And
That's
then about
crazy. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's cool though. It's really
That's got
cool.
to be nuts to think about now versus when you started, you know?
Yeah, it is
Really?
amazing. Yeah, and that's only YouTube, by the way. I'm not counting Instagram or anything else. That is only
Yeah.
YouTube, right? 450,000 to 500,000, and only a third are even subscribed, right? So two-thirds don't even click subscribe at all. No matter if I beg them to subscribe, they're just not.
I am. I'm subscribed, Cody.
Let's go, Roy. Hope the rest of you guys listening, hope you're there too.
Yes,
Make sure
sir.
I also make when we're promoting this, man, tag me in my
I
story
will,
on
100%. Yep.
Instagram.
We're
I'll
gonna
definitely.
clip it up too. Our guy Luke's gonna clip it up. Yep.
I love it. That's amazing. I share that though because like it's easy when you start building a following and a brand and a business and you start making millions of dollars and we're gonna do 8 figures this year. Whoop de freaking do. Like that's where ego can come in, pride cometh for a fall, right? In the
Yep.
Bible, and you can start to like get a big head. And trust me, I've had a big head along the way at times for sure. But man, when I'm grateful and I'm happy and
Hmm.
I even though unsatisfied, um, and when I'm really like care about people and I'm just Cody and I'm authentic and I'm just a human being, it's amazing this thing will go and how much better it goes and how much better people respond when I'm that type of human being. Like that's been a good journey that
Yeah.
that I needed to go on. And I've been knocked down a bunch over the years too.
I
Like,
would love to touch on that a little bit. I mean, there's two things actually in what you just said. First one is, and I think I've got a theory this is the key, you know, to anybody's success is what you just said right there. It's like positive, about where you're headed
yeah.
or what you're doing,
Mhm.
but unsatisfied. Could you talk about that a little bit more?
Yeah, man, I'm curious how much the audience can relate to with what everything I'm saying so far. I I wake up um like okay, here's an example. I've got a buddy that he does an assessment at one of his events and he uses different colors, and it's like red, yellow, green, blue. They all, mean the different same thing, just different tests. Well, a red is like it's like Pioneer, right? Or it's like a high D and a disc, right? Like you're hard driving, you're aggressive, you're a risk taker, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I every time I've took that the last decade, I'm the highest in the entire room, above everyone. And I
You're
think
talking
there's
about
like
that D?
correct,
Got
correct.
it.
So my D is 100. Or if I go the Pioneer test, it's really higher. I go the
Yeah.
color test. I'm like almost a 70 red, which is like unheard of. Like most people are like in the 30s, 40s, 50s. Um, even the aggressive people in the room. But I'm not. I can be direct. My team would tell you even the last few hours, dude. Cody can be direct.
Yeah.
But I don't come across that way when I'm with people, even though I come across like I try to. I come across like I care a bunch. Like it's funny, like internally, I'm like, I feel like I'm freaking Elon Musk, but externally, I'm
Yeah.
like I'm like this connector, nice guy. He'll give you his time. He cares. He wants to help you. He'll listen. It's been a good balance, but man, it's been a challenging balance because, as you said, I am not satisfied. Like, and two, some of my visions and goals and dreams are, dude, I want to be doing hundreds of millions in revenue, even though between some of the companies I'm involved in, we're doing tens of millions.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, I want to be, I could see us being worth $1 billion one day. I could see us doing conferences for tens of thousands of people around the world, hundreds of thousands potentially. I could see like I just see a very, very bright future for what we're doing. And I have this vision, like when I was 20 and I was an agent, one of my visions was to be a millionaire before I was 30.
Yeah.
Well, okay, you know, but it's like there's so much farther to go. Because here's what happens. Here's the issue with most of the audience listening. Here's the problem. They set a goal or a target, and they're like, okay, I want to make 100 grand. That's great, and that's the most common number just because it's easy to say. It's
Six
not even,
figures.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Then they make 6 figures, 101,000. Well, what now?
Right.
Like I slowed down after I hit 100 grand my first year. I did because that was the target. And it felt so big that when I accomplished, it's like, ah. I've done it, bro. I've
Yeah.
done it. Where in reality, I haven't done anything. And so I would urge people to set targets and goals, but I'm not a believer in them being realistic. And
Hmm.
I set stuff to where if I hit it, something was wrong. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
how strange is that? Like
Well, let me ask you this, Cody. So if you set a goal that's, because I've heard about this, set an unrealistic goal. A lot of people, I feel like, right? Like, we'll do a weekly meeting or whatever. And I love all the guys on our team. Like they're awesome. And it'll be like, well, I want to write 40,000 this month, you know? But if week one they're only at 5,000, then now it's out of reach as far as like what they think is possible. You know what I mean? And they're like,
yes.
well, if I
So
do this, then I'll just hit half of it. And then they
is
get
it
discouraged. Then it's like,
is it that you don't think they can hit 35,000 the next 3 weeks or they don't?
that's a great question. I probably would be lying to you if I thought everybody could.
Well,
I mean, I think everybody can, but not that
sure.
everybody will put the work
Right.
in to do it. Just because I've seen it a lot, like when I was in door to door, who's going to sell, we went by units. Who's going to sell 10,000 units this summer? And it's like 50 hands would go up. And then at the end of the summer, it'd be five people, you know?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I get, and it's you know, I want to outwork that or work that out where I am able to believe in people, but in a realistic way. But when you say set unrealistic goals,
Well,
I'm also not to your magnitude yet, with how big you think. But
yeah.
I do like to set unrealistic goals. Like my goal for this year was issue 1 million, but I'm not nowhere close to that. But then I get stuck in well, what's the point if I'm off track? So how do you handle that or deal with that?
Well, and the way I think about it too is like unrealistic is not I'm going to make $1 billion this year. Like
Right.
it needs to be something that I believe it needs to be. It's like a stretch. Like you're stretching yourself. And so for that person that's never done 20, for them to say 40, it's a stretch goal, but like if you've never done 20, like dude, start with 20. If you've done 20, don't say you're doing 100. Like, that's cool. That's a stretch goal. That keeps pulling my thought process is my targets keep pulling me forward. I don't stop when I hit them because I'm just continuing to stretch myself. That's really the message
Right.
when it comes down to that.
Got it. Versus pushing. They're just
Yeah,
pulling. Got
yeah,
it.
correct. Like I'm constantly, yeah, and it's like here's an example. Like we're pushing again. We're pushing for 8% conference. Like I need your audience's help, man. We're so close to get 1,500. I'm pushing. This will be our biggest one ever. Like we are going after it, and I am obsessed with that for the next 17 days. Like I am insanely obsessed with hitting our targets. Now, if I had 1,200 and something, I said we're going to get 5,000 in 17 days. It's stupid, right? It's
Right.
dumb. But what we've been able to accomplish even the last few weeks and last couple of months has been magical because of how much we are pushing. And then when that's something like here's the problem with the audience too. They say they want to hit 40 grand a month. That's
Sure.
cool. That's very definitely more of a standard within your company, which is great. It should be. I love that. I think it's helped the industry. I think that's cool. Well, most people, they're like, I want to hit 40, but they don't write it down. They don't tell anybody. There's no visual tracker when they're doing it. There's no constant reminders. Like, dude, I said I'm at 1222. I knew.
Yeah.
I literally knew. Like when I used to do this, like I don't know if I've ever told this story. We did this my first year in the business. I was trying to win two different trips. The first was a chairman's council trip where you had to have like it was like 65,000 in like commissions, but on a 35
Okay.
to 50% commission level. So it was really like 130, 150K at a captive company, right? And
Hmm.
if you did that or more, if you did that, you won the top trip for the year. Okay, cool. Which back then it felt a lot bigger than it does saying it out loud now. Maybe it was 69,000, so that would have been 120 to 180, in
Sure.
premium, something like that. But that was the target. And well, not only did I say I'm gonna get it, I made a visual on my wall where I'm filling up a thermometer every day for the entire year. I wrote it down every day. I told everyone. And I knew where I was every dollar by I knew where I was by the dollar every minute of every day. Like that's when someone actually starts to believe they're going to hit stuff. Like when people say, "Hey, I'm
Right.
going to make six figures," and I'm 4 months in. Okay, and like I was on a call yesterday, and I'm like, "How much money? What are you guys on pace to make?" And it was like 20 supposed killers. Dude, nobody knew.
Hmm.
Nobody cared. I'm like, guys, like that shows me if somebody is serious, if they not only say stuff, but they actually track stuff. Like that's another level of business, by the way, that most people in our industry do not understand yet. Like there's a lot of things that I share, like at our Power Player retreats. We're doing
Yeah.
4 retreats the next year on different pillars of scaling an insurance agency. So like the way I think of like the pillars of growing what you're doing and the audience growing what they're doing is marketing, right? Have people to talk to
Yep.
and retargeting and all that. Sales and conversion. So I've constantly got to be obviously doing business, whether it's through me or through a team. Eventually, there's people involved. That's a core pillar because you can't do it all by yourself forever. You're going
Yep.
through that. You're going through that pillar right now. And
Yep.
then the fourth is, okay, I've got to where I'm doing this. Now I want to scale revenue much faster. And there's a lot of, software analytics and tracking and stuff that goes into scaling the revenue piece. Well, we're spending multiple days the next year doing 4 retreats on those different topics. Well, everybody does pretty good at, you can buy leads, you can sell, right? Now there's other layers to that as your company gets bigger, a lot more layers than just buy leads and sell. But
Right.
what a lot of people struggle is they struggle in the people piece and they struggle in the scaling piece, right? And like really hyper growth mode.
Yeah.
And I see that to where most people, it's because there's a lack of clarity on where they're going, what are the processes, what are the analytics telling us? Like a lot of
Hmm.
business owners make decisions because of how they feel.
You're exactly right.
Where the best way to make decisions is based off of data. What is like every time I ask my team, they're like, "What should we do here?" I'm like, "Well, what did we do last time? What is the data telling us we should do?" Like, here's an example. I was involved. One of the companies I was involved in, we had our biggest 2 months ever. And separate company, we had our biggest 2 months ever, and then the next 2 months dropped by like probably 15% in
Why?
product because there was a temporary squeeze in the margin. The product was costing a little bit more. So we thought, well, we need to raise the price. So we felt like we'll raise the price. And that was a decision that was made. Well, the data showed us that certain price points moved a lot more product. And when you
Hmm.
got above a certain product, it tanked. Well, we made a decision not based off of data, but based off of how we felt and we were worried about the margin and it tanked our orders by a good 15, 20%. But guess what? Here's the real problem. We didn't notice it for 60 days.
Hmm.
60 days. And it cost that company hundreds of thousands, about $400,000 because we just felt like raising the price. And guess what? The price went from this price to we raised the price by about and from one price to the next by about 10%, 9%, and raise it again by about another 9%. Well, the first two numbers were okay. Actually, we did another 9%. We went up 3 times from the original price. Well, this price was great. This
Yep.
price was okay. It still moved a lot of product. The next two rungs, the third and fourth
Hmm.
pricing change.
Well, because it seems like it makes sense. Well, we'll just double revenue.
Yeah, correct. Correct.
Do you
And it's
think that's because it might be, a lot of people that own businesses come from, selling something first and they're like, oh, I want to run a business. And in selling, a lot of it is feel,
it
where it's
is.
like it's intuition. Okay, they're probably trying to tell me this. And so that's kind of how you run a business,
True.
just naturally.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, most people think about they think about when they think about business, you're not taught in high school how to run a business. You're not taught in college how to run a business. There's
Yep.
not entrepreneurial programs how to run a business. Like that's actually the reason we started our agency owner mastermind called Power Players is
Yeah.
simply because agencies insurance agents, entrepreneurs, business owners are not taught how to grow something. Like if I ask, I could pull $100 million earners within our industry right now. And if I said, what percentage of your revenue, what is the max percentage that you should be paying in payroll? Because they've got a team and all this stuff versus what your revenue is at. I bet 99, if not 100%, would not know.
I'd have no idea.
And that's an issue, right? That's a major problem. So like, but that, and then some people are like, well, yeah, but power players is 10 grand. Yeah, dude, but not understanding business and knowing how to grow. It's been moments where it's cost me millions, let alone a measly $10,000, right? So like, as an example, when we had a business partner in that previous marketing company a couple of years ago, and it started losing six figures a month because the
Yeah.
freaking the inmates were running the prison. I bought him out. I bought him out and took over because we were losing six figures a month. And it was literally, there were some changes that were made and some decisions that were made and some things that
Mm.
happened that cost that company hundreds of millions long term,
Wow.
millions in the short term, millions. So this
Crazy.
also this business thing is not, I don't, this like I'm a nice guy. I'm cool to hang out with, I'm fun to, just go out and chill with, right? Whatever.
Yeah.
When it comes to business, I do not play games.
Yeah.
Business. There's a buddy of mine that says business is war. Well, business is very serious, and I just want to do the right thing. I want to treat people the right way. Culture is also extremely important, even though most people don't know how to build a good culture, right? Very
Yep.
freaking important. However, business is also very important to Cody. And I take it like I pulled my team can see it. Like I pulled my whole exec. Also, this is probably one of the best podcasts I've ever been on, by the way. Your questions have been amazing, and I'm feeling good
Thanks,
about
Cody.
what's
Appreciate it.
happening this end. So thank you. Um, we need to definitely clip this up and share some of it. I'll share
100%. Yep.
some of my stuff too.
We're gonna get Luke on it ASAP.
Let's
Yep.
go. So I brought my executive team in here this morning because there was some stuff that happened yesterday and last night, and I sat my executive team, all five of them, around the table, and um, I said, it's time to take it to another level. It's time to focus. Like it's crunch time for 8%. I need you guys to hone in. I said, I feel like we're a little behind. I'm freaking staying late and involved in everything and making all these decisions, doing all these things, which is great. I enjoy it, but I need y'all to step up. I need you locked in because when we're locked in as a unit and we are focused, there is nothing we can't accomplish. But if we're like some days with it and some days we're not, dude, this thing's going to fall apart and it's not going to go the way we want. Everybody wants to win and succeed. We all want to do more revenue so we can pay more and do all the other stuff. I need you freaking focused. Can you do that for me? I need you focused all the time. But these next 17 days, I need you freaking locked in, right? And it was a good meeting. I guarantee you the
That's
next 17
awesome.
will be better because of that,
You've worn a lot of hats, man. It's like you go from sales to, it's like the next vision and then the next thing. And it's kind of like, and I don't know how we're doing on time right now. I know you're a
You're
busy
good.
guy.
I got a few more minutes. I could
Okay.
go 5, 10, 15
5
minutes.
minutes. Okay.
Yeah, whatever.
Um, you've gone through all these different phases of your life. You talked about, the lows, the low lows, and then getting up to the highs, always being dissatisfied. This is a really tough question because it's so open-ended that it's
Mm,
like hopefully it hits the person that it's supposed to.
right.
But I mean, what advice would you give yourself if you were back, 19 years old again,
Mm,
from your perspective now, knowing the mistakes you've made and the big wins, knowing you'd be in a position where you are now, probably the number one insurance marketer on the planet, you know, um, top events, 8%, obviously, kaboom. Everybody knows your face,
yeah.
kaboom. Everybody knows your face in our office. I asked him what questions should we ask Cody, and I think all of them were a little bit too scared. But one of them asked you if you could hold up 25 bands, but I don't, I think that might have been old Cody, but but
That
anyway,
was definitely old Cody, by the way. Dude, I got sued because of how flashy I was, and I went into it.
really,
I'm going to answer your question, but dude, I
sure.
got it was this crazy TCPA lawsuit. They sued 30 people around the industry at the same time. I got involved in some freaking scam. I'll be honest, and they went after me harder than all 30
Oh
because in
God.
another conference room when I went and had a freaking big mediation and meeting for this, with lawyers and all this stuff, they had pictures of me spread all over this big, massive conference room table overlooking downtown Kansas City. And on
Jeez.
all of these pictures was Cody holding up cash, Cody in front of cars, Cody on private jets, Cody hanging out with freaking Tim Tebow, like everywhere. And they said, we are going after this dude several years
Wow.
ago, this kid harder than anyone else.
The
And so
price of winning, I guess, right?
it's the price of winning, but also I dial back the flashiness a little bit because of some of those things too. So yeah, I don't know if that's right yet. I'm not sure yet. I'll learn that along the way, but
Yeah.
I've dialed back the Gucci shoes and
I didn't
Louis Vuitton.
even see that Cody. I guess I got introduced to you about 2 years ago when I got into the business, and it was
Oh,
all just
perfect.
training and
Best time to learn about Cody. That's good.
applicable stuff. Yeah, it seemed very practical. So, but
That's
yeah,
awesome.
what I mean, if there was advice, I mean, a lot of people say that, well, I wouldn't really tell myself anything because I don't really have any regrets. But I guess if you were 18 again or talking to that 19-year-old, 20-year-old out there, that's going to go through that process.
Dude, no question about it. Number one answer I would give because I wouldn't change anything either. If I could go back with the knowledge and the way I make decisions and market and promote and all that today, holy freak, bro, we'd be doing hundreds of millions already, right? However, 18-year-old Cody, I would say the number one thing I would say is get in the room. I held myself back because I was always known as an introvert, that didn't like to hang out with people and socialize and go to events and do different stuff. Um, but dude, getting in the room, I've paid $15,000 to go to conferences. I've paid 50 grand to go to masterminds. I've paid 6,500 bucks for YouTube coaches. I've paid 30 grand for business coaches. I've paid, 11 grand for conference tickets. I've paid like all the stuff, right? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? I can keep going. I've paid the actually at one point $125,000 to learn just event marketing. Like, dude,
Wow.
I've paid it. I've gotten the room. Now, am I done learning? No, because knowledge is power, but also proximity is power. And most people don't get in the room enough.
A
Like, dude,
bummer.
our conference, like on my wristband, it says 8%, and then it says expand your vision, right? Like this conference is one of the best things anybody could do in the world at getting them to think on a whole nother level, getting them in the right room, giving them access to the right people and the right information. And I waited too long. I waited too long to get in the room. When I first started getting in rooms, like I'm talking about, I was 27 or 28.
Really?
That was too late. It cost me millions by not getting in the right room, spending the money, getting in the right room, traveling, and being with people that can help me level up and scale my business. That is my number one regret. I don't want anyone to have the same regret, but most of the time we come up with excuses why I don't have the money. I gotta spend 2.5 days. It's on the other side of the country. I really need to spend this on
Yeah.
groceries, whatever, right? Like if you want to, oh, I've got this other thing, I've got this birthday party. Like if you want to find an excuse to talk yourself out of something, anything, you will, right? You will. However, proximity is power. It's more important because it's kind of funny. It's like, okay, knowledge is power, but how do you get the knowledge if you're not in proximity? You don't, right? And so proximity is actually more important than knowledge, I think, on the come up, because that is where you start to think on another level. Like, dude, when I started going to $50,000 masterminds with billionaires, I started learning. I started thinking differently. I started looking at the future of what we're doing a
Hmm.
whole different way. And a lot of people feel like they're being held back. They may not admit this, but a lot of people feel like they are being held back by who they're around and what they know and who they are in this moment. And they're right. They
Hmm.
are. That's why getting in the room is the number one answer that everyone should always give.
Just get in the room.
Get in the
I've
room.
heard Coach Michael Burt talk about getting a seat at a bigger table.
Mm.
Like that's very similar
Amen.
mindset. I know you two know each other well.
Yeah, he's a good dude, man. I love him.
100%. Cody, I know you're busy, man. You got 8% coming up in a couple weeks. I'm going to be there. It's gonna be awesome. And
So the rest of the team that's listening, get on the freaking plane or car with Roy. Let's go. Let's go.
get on that Spirit flight.
Maybe, just hopefully you'll arrive in spirit. Who knows?
Yeah, hopefully that's gonna be a prayer. No, that's not Spirit, but anyway, hopefully one day it'll be on a PJ, you know?
Amen. Amen.
Amen.
You know what? That's why I work. One of the biggest reasons why I work so hard is I hate flying commercial. I feel like a peasant, and and like I'll add a few minutes real quick. So I
Yeah.
flew private a decent amount in 2020. I say a decent amount, at least a handful of times a year,
Uh-huh.
probably ish, right? 2020, 2021, 2022. I haven't been on a private plane, a private jet in probably 2 years, 2 to 2.5 years,
Why is that?
somewhere in there, because I bought my partner out and I started over and
Yep.
revived a dying company, and it hasn't made financial sense,
Hmm.
and I've had to make data-driven decisions, right? And so, but dude, I work so hard because I will have a plane and I hate flying commercial. And every time I get on it, I don't care if I'm in the back, I'm in right behind first class, I'm in economy plus, or I'm in first class, which happens a
Yep.
lot, thankfully. I would, I sit there and think, I don't know enough. I
Hmm.
haven't got the right rooms and I'm not working hard enough. And right now, you are sacrificing and paying the price and you're freaking flying commercial. That's what I
Damn.
think.
That's great, man. This has been awesome, dude. Mindset, helping people think bigger. I feel like, damn, I hope one day I've got, decisions that's lost me millions of dollars, you know?
You will. I mean, that's a good thing, not, but you will. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's probably gonna suck going through it, but
It's going to happen to everybody at some point, though, unfortunately.
right.
If they don't think big enough, they don't get in the rooms enough, they don't invest enough, they don't try enough, it may not happen. But if they
Mm,
are any of those things, unfortunately, it is bound to happen. Yeah.
right.
And I said it would never happen to Cody. I was very naive.
Yep. Well, dang, dude, this has been freaking awesome. We are definitely clipping this up and it's gonna be everywhere. So
Thank you.
thanks
And
so
so,
much too, man. I know you did the John Wetmore event for free. You did this for free. I mean, shoot, I don't know anybody in the space providing more value than Cody freaking Askins. So let's go.
thank you, buddy. I love what you're doing. I respect it. And being on other people's podcasts and stages is literally one of my favorite things to do. I'm always interviewing everybody else, so this was cool. And thank you very much for having me. I look forward to seeing you soon. You're a good
Yes,
dude.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, Cody. Hopefully we'll do this again one day.
Amen. See you soon.
Awesome, man. Talk to you soon.
Sir.